Hi, this is Susan. We're making little hand creams, bath wash, shampoo, conditioner, maybe some hand soap, and what's going to look like dye in a minute. We're making these out of these little caplets. They're capsules. These are some little supplements I had that kind of made my stomach feel bad. So I had them left over. So I started playing around with them and filled them with the resin and then decorated them. And so that's what we're going to do. So I made all of these last night with the 2-part epoxy resin. Well, actually, I may have made the bottles earlier before it rained because I think that the rain's affecting the 2-part epoxy. But we're going to use the UV resin. And I also found this. I forgot that I had bought this off of Temu. When I got the UV resin, I bought a whole bag of this, and I think it's called pearlescent pigment powder, mica powder maybe. You may know better. I've got a bunch of colors here in this bag, copper and gold and black and then there's all these spring colors. And so I found those after I needed them for something else, but I thought that I would try using them and see how they worked. So you take these apart, empty, you can get gel caps, you can just get them empty, but they didn't have them at our store listed. So, and I had these just sitting around left over, so I'm just emptying them out and then cleaning them out and letting them dry out, or blowing the powder out. And so anyway, I had made soaps in another video, and see these little bitty soaps right here. These are made with beads like this right here, this tiny little bead that's got a little rosette on it. Little rosette design. So I have another video that's all about these resins and using the mold putty, and I made a bunch of different things, including the soaps that you see right here and here, and the plates. And so if you want to go to that video, you can see how to make these little daiquiris. Isn't that fun? So check out that video, and then it goes into another video where we make boxes, and you'll see what all. So this is like the 3rd part. So we're going to make these out of these little capsules, and I always want to keep like some extra molding in case I have extra resin left over. So I like to have those sitting out. And with the UV, it actually says that you're not supposed to be able to use these because they're, blue in color. They're supposed to be clear. And so I did use one. I just wanted to show those to you, but I could use this one because it's more open. The holes are open, but the one I used, I had to pop it out and then turn it over underneath the light and finish it that way. So I put some of this in before I knocked everything over and had to start over. So this was this purple mica, and it was so dark. The green, I did the green just a minute ago, and it's a lot greener. So I don't know about using this if you need to put more white into it, because I think it's really green. I didn't think it would be that green. I think maybe I put white, but in the purple, I kept adding more and more white to it. And I even added some pink, trying to come off the dark purple. But it just wants to be dark. Just seems like it really wants to be dark. So these need to go under the light. And this one, I had this one left over. This little rubber mold is only holding 3 of them. So I'm just going to do these 3. And I've got that, I mixed it in this little container with the resin and the pigment. And I'm going to get this under this little bitty light here that I got from Temu when I bought my bottle of UV resin. They sent me this, and it doesn't even have a switch on it. You have to just plug it in. So, not really loving that part of it, but I guess it's enough. It does the job, so that's what we need. So, I've got that's sitting. Okay, now how I did those, once you get your, let me show you this. Once you get these cleaned out, don't blow into them and get it in your eyes. Make sure you close your eyes if you decide to blow into them. Just, okay, so I took this foam, and I took the end of the paintbrush, and I poked holes. And the objective is to get the right size so it doesn't pinch this. You just don't want them to pinch and misshape your... See, this, you want it to be tight enough where it's sitting straight up and down, but not pinching. So, I know you can get that. So anyway, then you're putting the pigment in like that. And this is a two-part. This is the UV. The purple is the UV. But you want to use like one of these little tools. And this was longer. I just cut it off because I think when it's really long, it doesn't really seem to work as well. And I just pinch that up in here and then put it down into it. Otherwise, you can drip it off of your stir stick, just drop by drop into these. And that actually, I mean, that works okay. But you have to be careful that if you get it down the side, you're going to need to take this out of this foam or out of anything you're holding it with and clean it off real good, because once that hardens, it's going to take your craft knife to shave it off, and then that puts, you know, your fingers in the way, so that's not really good. So clean it off before here's another little empty. So just going to stick it in there. So I wonder if I can get this foam up in there and cure that one. I don't know. We'll try. Okay, so if you have this, you know, use this, because you can put it down in the caps. I guess they're called gel capsules. Gelatin. They're gelatin capsules. So you can put this right down into it. And when that dries, sometimes I've taken a needle tool and just poked things out once they've dried, and I've been able to reuse this one like 4 times. I just cut it back. I just keep cutting it back. I guess you can buy these in Temu as well. I'm not really sure what they call them, but you know, they sell a little bit of everything. And in case you're interested in this little plate, now I made this in the other video and told you about what you need to do to get a complete plate. So go to that video and look at that, because it's a little work, but it works. You can actually get a nice plate going. Okay, so let's look at these. And here's all these little jewelry findings. Just little bitty, you know, the smallest of your pieces. Just pull out all the smallest little seed beads and little filigree tops and rings. And so let's look at this. You might remember, if you've seen my video on using the resin pieces to make carved looking shelves and things, that's where I made this. This was a bezel I bought from Temu, and so I put the little resin pieces I cut out of a design to look like handles. So you might want to make something like this to doll it up. Now I'm thinking about putting this, I'm going to make a mercantile, and I was going to do like a country store, but I've just been changing my mind about it, because you know when you go to like a tourist town, they'll have like a country store or a mercantile or something. that has tourist things, and I was thinking all these would be so cute in a mercantile. So I've got the Brimble's mercantile to build, so I'm just going to make all kind of fun things, and I'll probably end up putting them in there and have it be a modern time, because I don't have anything modern, not much of anything, so that way I'll be able to do modern as well as things like this. So let's talk about the labels and things you can put on these. So you see this has that little filigree cap upside down, and there's like a little rose that I molded inside of the top. And this one has a little rose that I molded, but you can get these, off the internet, off Temu, eBay. They even have them at Hobby Lobby. They're just individual packs of a variety of flowers. And see, like that tiny one right there is a rose. So you could put these on the top. There's a rose. And these are a real good size for these little bottles. And I got this a long time ago, but they probably still have them. This is made of polymer clay. This is called a wheel. I don't know if that'll be in the search, but these are polymer clay flowers. And so those would be cute on top. Now, I wanted to show you the nail art that I'm using for these. And I really want to say I'm making copies. I'm not using my originals, especially now we don't know, about ordering things from China, that we want to save our stuff. So this right here is so popular. Someone asked me about it, and all it says, it doesn't have any labeling. It came off of Temu. All it says is right up in this corner, TSC 501. So there is some numbers here. And again, it came off Temu. And if these numbers help you at all to find it. But so I've made a copy. This is on cardstock. I think for labels, you really just need regular paper, because the cardstock seems to be a little heavy for these. But I had already copied it all onto cardstock, because I was copying paper at the same time, and I was sticking these in between and all that, saving, you trying to use up the whole page. So I would just use regular paper. And, the great thing is you can go in and use your colored pencils and add colors and change colors and make colors more vibrant. And then brown around the edge if you want to make it stand out more. Just anything you want to do. So have this. And then this is actually on a clear, it's on a clear plastic sheet. It's sitting on like a beige kind of sheet, but here it is copied. And so I was thinking, I wondered what it looked like if I put an envelope behind it, which I put this blue envelope, and that was to see just, what I could do with it. But see how close these are together? So I want to give you this tip. You know how these plastics come when you're ordering stuff, I pulled this off, how they come behind, in your order. And you can take your nail art pieces off their plastic here and line them up here, and make your labels and things, and then put them back into their plastic sleeve to save. And that way you can make your own designs and you'll have more space. So it's just a little tip if you want to try it, because they are so crunched up. See, when I copied it, I was like, well, it doesn't give you much room to cut them out. So this one I really liked. I've already used one. And actually, I used one of the originals, and I was like, why am I doing that? I shouldn't use any of my originals. So, because we don't know when it'll be before we can get more of them, or if they'll carry them, or they'll discontinue them. And I hate that when that happens and you really like something. So make copies and try to save your originals for now. And I also had tile. I got this tile and I was going to try it on the plastic paper and see about making designs to make like tile wallpaper kind of thing. But these would be good on books and on anything, all kinds of things. So I'm just trying to use my copies instead of my originals. And then when you cut out your label, you may want to use like a pigment ink stamp. This is brown, and that's what I've used around the edges. Just tapped it lightly to age, kind of give it an aged look on those labels. Those labels are kind of made up and down, but some go sideways. But that's a good thing, and you could use a brown pencil if you don't have the ink. You can certainly do that. And with the soaps, you don't have to do resin. I actually used candle wax the first time I made soaps. So if you haven't tried candle wax and things, you might try that. Now, I have these colors, and like I said, that came out so purple. This was the first try, and I got it down the side, so I had to scrape it. But the green, I didn't realize it was going to be this vibrant a green. It kind of looks like hair dye for Halloween. So if you can use these kind of things for Halloween, why not? These would go into some little cute Halloween curiosity shop or a haunted house or something. So however you make your little labels, just go around the edge, with the ink, and then I think this was the one I put blue. I took blue pencil and made the background blue, and I made the flowers a little more vibrant. And then before you put them on your piece, kind of try to curve them with your nail. Get them curled a little bit before you put the glue on them, and that'll help. Let's see. Let me find the one. I did want to do this one on the blue. I think it was the blue that... Yeah, see, I did the blue background. So I'm using just Aleene's Craft, tacky glue to put the labels on. Now the jewelry pieces, you need a gel, super glue. When you're doing metal, the craft glue won't hold so well. Got too much of that on there. So let's see which is up. And when you're placing this on here, kind of think, because they're elongated, they're tall, think about if you're going to come over the sides with your piece of jewelry, or if you're just going to put that'll kind of tell you how high to put the label on. See, in this piece it came down a little bit, so it can be lower. But if you're just going to put a knob on it, then like this one, I think it could have been higher because it's just a knob. So see the balance there? This really could have been higher. But it was already stuck. So that's that. Okay, so we'll let that dry. Now, my favorite of the super glues is this Loctite super glue gel. See, it says gel control there, but you don't get as much. It goes really quick, so I've been using up this Gorilla super glue gel. See, it says gel right there. And make sure the caps are different colors. That you want the green that says gel for the green cap. And so To put the top on, we need to dab just a little bit of the super glue. And I was kind of liking that. With that brown edge, I was starting to like the bronze. So, I was thinking about doing the same bronze on these. Oh, I forgot about that. I forgot about the UV light going on. I'll bet that's ready to turn over. Okay, so since these are in this mold, they're just sitting in the mold, I'm going to go ahead and turn them over and make sure that the tips got the UV light got to them, because, you know, this wasn't made for that. But I'm pretty sure they got... Wow, I'm not going to be able to get this one out. Okay. Now, I use this mold in my video, the one about resins. I use this mold to make some things, so you want to go check that out if you haven't already seen it. Okay, so let's use our... I use the needle tool to see if things are dry. So let's see. Well, that was near the light, so I feel like this one's good and dry. I'm surprised, but I bet it's not dry all the way through because it's down in the styrofoam. And it looks like it's got a tiny bit of... Yep, a little bit of this. You know, I have to use my craft knife to get that all scraped off. So let's set that under and make sure it's cured all the way through before I go at it with the craft knife. Okay, so you see how I've put these in here, and you'll be able to do that. Just, you know, just a piece of styrofoam. And then this one, see, it got pinched a little bit, so it's misshaped it. I need to find another slot for it. There, that's better. This one is a little bit too tight. So this gets fun. It's like, you know, if you have a project for this, it just makes you think, oh, I gotta have this color and this color and this color. So I went to town well, it's been the last week. I made them, then I put the labels on them, and then last night I did it looks like I caught the edge of it on something. Then I put the jewelry findings on them last night, and I was like thinking, how did I get so many? You know, it's like, how in the world did I make so many? But they're cute, and they can go in the dollhouse, and they can go in all kinds of places. So I'm sure I could give some away. Oops. Now, I like putting the jewelry findings upside down, and I really like this little flower on here. That was one of the molds I made. So, at least I'm getting use out of all this stuff. But I don't know about this green and purple. I like the pearlized, but I'm not sure about those colors. They're very bright, or very vivid. Okay, so just the tiniest bit. If you get too much and it goes down the side, you can use your craft knife after it dries and kind of clean it up. This is almost empty. Okay, now the problem is you have very little time. Because of this being plastic, it grabs. This is like when I was doing those lamps, the ball, it'll grab real fast with that glue. Even though it's the gel and not the super glue, it just tends, see, it's already grabbed. Okay, so you can pull it off with your, nail if you got it wrong. But as soon as you let it go sit down on that glue, it really does grab fast. I'm using this bottle because it's almost empty, and I didn't want the glue. If you have an older bottle, you don't want the glue to come out real fluid on these. So it might be good to use an older bottle. Okay, so let's get that on top. So it's not the best. It's a little bit crooked, but I've got this camera in front of me, and that's kind of hard to work around. So I'm sure you'll do a better job, playing with it at your leisure. So anyway, that's it. That's the whole thing. We've got these purple things to pull out, and let's see. Well, I don't know what I'm going to do with these. Now this, let's see, I kept working at one of them trying to get it lighter. But I bet come Halloween I figure out something fun to do with these. I do have a haunted house that, it's like a curiosity shelf thing that I want to bring out and show you. I made it before I started my channel, but it's a fun thing. So, I don't know. What do y'all think of the purple and the green using these pigments, these pearlescents? What do you think about them? I kind of like the old. I like that. But these would be, you could do hair dye. Oh my gosh, they'd come in this kind of a bottle, and you might have a project for it. So, yeah, this works for a lot of things. So, if you haven't subscribed, please do. I'm so excited to say I've got 500 subscribers, and I'm just so thrilled. I just started my channel back in December, and so that's just amazing to me. And I'm just so thankful to all of y'all and to you who come and view and give me comments. I'm always happy to talk with y'all. And I thank you so much. So thank you for looking at this, and please go and look at the other videos that have the making the soaps and making the little strawberry daiquiris and the little plates and things. Just a whole lot of stuff. So thank you. Bye.